Amateur.
I always do silence my phone. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Whatever. Get out of here. Oh shit, I'm live. All right. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, it's just two guys talking football.
Yeah, my screen is way better than mine. I have this camera and it's terrible. And my camera on my screen broke. It's been getting progressively worse. So I had to run on an hour ago and get a camera on here to make this happen. But sorry about that. Here's my little introduction video. Let's watch this.
I get the weird feeling you're Irish or something.
Isn't that cool to see the guy blink at the end? He's like, yeah, what's up, man? You're just jealous, I know.
Totally. I need an introduction like that. I'm going to talk to my producers immediately.
I know a guy who knows a guy, okay?
All right.
All right. Well, welcome to the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast. This is just me doing what I love to do and talking to awesome fantasy football people. Today, we'll talk to Mike Tagliere about Mike, some current events, some NFL rumors, some commissioner questions, some of the settings he prefers and the leagues he plays in, some players he likes late, and as usual, we'll evaluate a team to see if what he would recommend to either rebuild or remodel it and how to get it there. So, our guest introductions. He doesn't need introductions, but first of all, tell me about yourself and where the Twitter machine can find you and what do you do in the dynasty football world that makes everyone want to follow you?
The Twitter machine. Mike Tagliere, NFL, unverified, of course, because I'm not real. Why do people follow me? I don't know. No, in reality, it's just I've been doing it for a long time. So establishing a following, I just realized, John, it's actually going to be 10 years in September. So next month, basically next month, it's going to be 10 years that I've been on Twitter. So it's been a long time. You know, a lot of people have started following me over the last couple of years with Fantasy Pros when I joined them, but I've been doing this for a long time now, and I did it for free for a long time too. So it's just, I don't know. I've had time to refine my craft, figure out what it is that people want to read, what it is they need, I guess. I mean, it's questions that I've always asked myself in terms of, you know, when I write an article, I want to write an article that I want to read myself, you know, questions that I want answered. When it comes to, like, you know, talking dynasty specifically, one of the things that you hear about when you join dynasty leagues is people talking about, you know, first round draft picks. They're worth so much, man. I'm giving you a first round pick. I better be getting so much in return. And no one ever explained to me what exactly a first round pick was worth in dynasty. So what did I do? I decided to sit down and go through legit as much research as I could, like in terms of dynasty ADP and rookie drafts, and go back and find out exactly how much a first round pick is worth, how much a second round pick is worth, and do articles like that. And then when people actually sit down to read them, you walk away with something tangible, something that says this is like statistical proof. It's not an I think or I hope or I expect. It's like, this is what has happened historically. So when you're trading for one of those picks, this is historically what you're getting. It's not what I'm telling you it's worth. It's what the actual numbers say. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I think that's it. Just because in the end, I want what you want. I want the best fantasy advice possible.
You want guys like I picked the last couple of years, like in Kill Harry and JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Oh God. I told you, I advised you against those.
I know you say, I was like, I got to get this guy. I got to get him. This is my guy. I traded up in almost every league to get him. And you're like, no, don't get him. Are you kidding me? And yeah, you were right. It is what it is. But you make these trades and you listen to a lot of people and you kind of make your own decisions. And, you know, everybody needs I think what you need to do is start making your own rankings all the time and just kind of see where you're wrong and get into dynasty, do your own stuff, you know, try and get as much information as possible, look up, keep grinding, you know, keep inputting more and more data, listen to more people, make your own rankings and just see how wrong you are. And you got to get, like, it's almost like a flow. And just when you think you're good at it, like something goes wrong and you know, somebody gets hurt or somebody does whatever. And it's like, I got to redo this or keep moving these guys around. It's liquid. It's a liquidity game. You know, you're never, ever going to have everything. You'd say herding cats, you know, you can never going to get that right where you want it. It's always changing. And that's what makes it fun. So I love it. I love that. What's your favorite part of this whole online Twitter experience? The DFS, best ball. I know you're kind of in those best ball things, and DFS stuff, the dynasty leagues, podcasting, writing, something else. What do you do? What do you like the most about the whole fantasy football experience?
I like podcasting a lot, but writing is always in podcasting. one thing that I've been trying to work on and like consciously pay attention to is I talk too fast a lot. Rich Rebar is another guy in the industry that both of us, whenever we get on podcasts, Ian Harditz does it now too, where we're guys that just talk too fast. We always want to get out so much information that we talk so fast. That's why I think what do I enjoy most is probably podcasting. What I'm actually best at is probably writing, just because I have time to formulate thoughts and put them together, and that's why I write so damn much. No matter what it is, whether it be obviously the primer, whether it be a novel that I'm working on, or articles throughout the off season, whatever it is, I'm always working on something. So, Jeff, I see you in the comments. I appreciate it, man. I'm doing good. I'm good, and as far as I can tell from the cardiologist, everything appears to be fine. And that it's like a one-time thing. So I'm doing good. But yeah, I guess I'd say podcasting, John, just because you get a chance to talk with other people. And I'm like a hermit, obviously doing this for a living. You just turn into a hermit because you're stuck at your computer all the time. But so I think that's why I think I like podcasting the most.
I know what you go through and what you do and how many hours you put in. And it's funny because I just had the other day something pop up about what was the name of your and Tabby's podcast back in the day when you were
Hot Route.
No, before that.
Oh, before that,
the first
lights,
one.
we had the Lights Out Fantasy Football podcast.
Yes, that was when I first heard you guys. It was you doing your own little podcast, saying, "Hey, it was awesome," and it just popped up. Do you still want something from Lights Out Fantasy Football? And I'm like, "What?" It's
really?
it was yeah. I was gonna send it to you, but I changed pages and I couldn't find it again.
That's funny.
Thanks for doing this. Go ahead.
We obviously haven't touched that for a long time, but I miss that. I miss doing shows with Tab because she was like the novice player, and a lot of people related to her that listened to the show because they were just getting into fantasy, and I was like more advanced. But it was good. It was really good. It was like a yin and yang thing where we worked really well together. And but unfortunately, she's doing nurse type things, and I'm still doing football things. So
I like doing football things much more than nursing things.
same.
Thanks for doing this, guys. I always look forward to hearing from your advice from Tags and John. Well, I'd listen to Mike's advice way more than mine, but I have advice to give you guys if you want to hear it.
No, John and I don't know if people listening or watching, if they know, but John and I are actually real life friends. Like John and I have hung out, like obviously a lot. We've played golf together. We've drank together. We've done whatever. John's a good dude. John is one. He's legit. He's like that crazy uncle. So, so Uncle Buck, I think that's the best way to put it. If someone had a brother and they were going to call him to like watch their kids, they'd worry like, all right, John, he's so nice, but at the same time he's so clumsy. So Uncle Buck in that movie, his problem is gambling. John's problem is fantasy football. He is in too many damn leagues. He listens to too many podcasts. He told me the one time he's like, yeah, I'm up to like 53 podcasts now, and I'm like, dude, when you listen to that many podcasts, you are legitimately going to hear a different opinion on every single player, and then your thoughts are going to be all jumbled all over the place.
They
you
are.
got to narrow it down to the people you trust and kind of go from there.
They are jumbled all over the place. I mean, I literally have to like sometimes revert back to depth charts to like, what the hell? What was I thinking? Like they do get jumbled, but I work a lot of hours. I take notes on all these players. I make my own spreadsheets. This is one good thing about fantasy football is it made me learn how to use sheets, Google Sheets and Google Words and all this stuff, because now I know how to highlight and add things. And it made me learn how to use a computer. As a construction worker, I never had a computer. I never use it for anything. So because of fantasy football, I learned how to do spreadsheets, all that kind of stuff. It really has kind of helped out in the long run. So I do appreciate that. But Fantasy Pros, all your stuff on there everybody that's on there is awesome. So that's one of my favorite listens. Just so you know, Mike, I love hearing you all the time.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Tell me about the new crib. How are you and Tabby and adapting? How fat is Mitch the dog? And most importantly, how's Dunk doing?
Oh, me and Tav are good. Love it out here. Honestly, the only cons are obviously starting over with friends, but we've been fortunate enough to make a lot of friends since we moved out here. We appreciate the peace and quiet, like just sitting outside, and like we have some land, so we're able to kind of just relax and sit on our deck. Like we couldn't do that back in Illinois, where we had like legitimately less than a quarter of an acre of land, and it was our backyard. I could spit to my fence, basically, is how it was. Mitch is probably up to 125 pounds, our fatty. He's only 2 years old, but he's a big dog. And then Jonathan Dunk is he's good, man. He's in preschool and making some friends out here. So it's awesome, man. We honestly, if we were to do it all over again, it's only been 3 months, but it feels like home. So we would do it all over again.
That's awesome. And I know you want to do that for a long time, so I'm super happy you moved out. And I went from growing up in a city where I could touch both houses in the gangway to moving out here where I thought these, our front yard, it was like a postage stamp for a front yard and backyard. And now I move out there, there's like literally, 20 yards or 15 yards between the houses. I'm like, holy cow, this is like real country living, So I can't wait to go out by you and see what it's like in the country.
And so you guys understand who John is. So when I started telling him, and I was like, I was dreaming about owning a house like this and having the land and being able to spread out a bit. And John told me, he's like, that sounds like a nightmare, buddy. I'm not gonna lie. He's like, that's cool that you like it. He's like, but I need to talk to people. Like John's the type where we would go out to eat, we'd go to a gas station, and John would just literally, he'd strike up a conversation with a random guy passing. John, you'd fit right in here down in Tennessee, I'll tell you that, because people will just walk up to you. We were taking a family walk the other day, and someone was mowing. He had like 10 acres of land, and he's mowing his yard, and he just stops and says, hey, how you guys doing? I haven't seen you around. Where are you from? We said he turned off his mower, stopped cutting his lawn, and he was like a John. And we had like this 10-15 minute conversation about where we were from, and that's basically how people are out here. Whereas back in Illinois, Chicagoland, it's almost like if someone stops and says, hey, how you doing, you're like, what are you trying to sell me? Back away. But out here, people just want to talk.
I like it. You're selling me. I got a bunch of people, friends who live in Tennessee. It's nice to go there. Going there with you to the draft was awesome. I got Juan Alvarez, a couple of my other buddies moved out to Tennessee. It's I like it out there. It's not, I don't know. It could be my style real easy, but it's not right now. Here, look at this guy.
Nuts. Nashville is nuts, though. I'll tell you that.
John, how many chimichangas did you eat to prepare for this podcast? Here's your buddy Phil.
What's up, Phil? Oh man, how many? I'm gonna set the over under at 10. Phil.
Where from though? Restaurant or the?
Does it matter?
Give me. I can't eat 10 big ones. Like that's a real burrito just thrown in the fryer. I need is it something from like from Aldi or something, or like a real burrito place?
Oh man.
Is there any spiders around your house? I know you're not a big spider fan.
No, there's not. And actually, it's funny because Phil, and a couple of friends back there, they would always say, "Oh, watch out for the spiders." We haven't seen any. Well, I mean, I've seen a couple spiders, but nothing big, nothing like that. I haven't even seen a snake. Apparently, that they are out here, but I haven't seen any. Which I think it's because the woods are set back off our house quite a bit, where we're not backed up to woods, which is quite awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. I was expecting you could, who knows what's in the backwoods of Tennessee, like zebras and stuff, or whatever. I don't know what the hell's going to jump out at you.
I kid you not. Every day I take Jonathan to school, I drive down our country road. It's a 2-lane road with no streetlights, no nothing, no shoulders. There's turtles that cross the road, man. I kid you not. Giant turtles will cross the road. I'll see them. Obviously, we see a lot of deer, but yeah, everything.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that's good. That's good for Jonathan as far as that. I saw like rabbits and maybe a raccoon once in a while, or like a possum, but other than that, there was nothing where I grew up at. We never saw any kind of deers once in a while would get hit by a car, like that was going down railroad tracks. But
right.
That was about the extent of it.
I'm with you, Jeff. I'm with you. They are the spawns of Satan. And by the way, I was wrecked. So the spider thing, I'm not a fan of spiders. And I blame my parents for this. So the only thing I'm scared of in my life, like I'm not scared of many things, but spiders ruin me. They wreck me. And it's because my parents let me watch Arachnophobia when I was like, I don't know, 8 years old, I think. I was a very impressionable age, and I saw Arachnophobia, and it jacked me up.
I'm afraid of bees like you're afraid of spiders, I guess. And I'm not afraid of a bee. I'm afraid of like a hive of bees. It's like those cartoons back in the day where if you look at it, like you mess with one of them and like he's going to and call his buddies and all of a sudden you have 8,000 of them all over you, that kind of deal.
Fun fact is when I was writing the book, I went to a cabin and I was up there and I was stung by a bee just walking around the property. And I was kind of like, well, that sucks. It stung for a moment. I dealt with it. It was fine. Bees are fine.
Yeah. I had I've been stung plenty of times. It doesn't really hurt that much. I mean, it feels like a pinch, but it is what it is. But
yeah,
really disappointed the way Twitter went after Yates about his ankle.
About the Akers injury. Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of cancel culture. I hate it. People make mistakes. They do, and if they apologize, it great. It's just you have to ask yourself: is it worth being pissed at someone about it? And it's not. But Marcel has a draft question. Don't wait, man. Just shoot out your question, dude. We're here to talk to you guys. We're just talking football.
Yeah. This is JD from the Go District. I'm not sure if you met him before. Awesome guy, man. He runs this Go District. Our house is infested with baby spiders the last few days. That's not good. What would you do?
No, there's a daddy spider. That means you need to move the F out or
Yeah,
hire an
light it up.
exterminator, which by the way, we like I don't even mess around with that stuff. I pay someone to come and spray inside the house, outside the house. I want to be as bug free as possible.
Yeah. What's your favorite hobby now, or before fantasy football? Before you got into fantasy, what was your thing? I know some of these answers, but I'm just trying to kind of let people know the Mike Tagliere that a lot of people don't see.
Jesus, I don't even remember life before fantasy football. Um, Hobbies. I mean, I used to like play golf a lot, and I kind of stopped just because it's it it's a frustrating sport because if you
Because I
don't
was
stay
getting
on,
because I was getting better than you. Just tell it.
obviously. No, it's a sport where if you stop practicing, if you stop working at it, you lose all the progress you made, and then you have to start over, and it's expensive, and it's just like it's a sport that I want to play, but it's more it doesn't work. My new hobby is riding a motorcycle again, because I had a motorcycle back when I was young. I was 24, I think, when I had one. I had a crotch rocket. Uh, and I rode it for about a year and a half, and I sold it thinking because I said I was going to kill myself on it because I got to the point where I started like I stopped respecting the bike, and
Hmm.
I never dropped it, never had any accidents with it, but it was just more I started not to fear it, and that was the time for I had to sell it. I was just too young and dumb, but now I have like a chopper style bike, and I enjoy riding that and just cruising, not going fast. I don't want to go fast. I just want to cruise and go through the windy roads here. But outside of that, writing a novel, that's where I'm at. I want to finish that. I will tell you, John, I worked on it a little bit this weekend. I
Hmm.
am currently at 78,000 words.
Wow.
So I'm nearing the end. I'm on the final quarter of it. I want to finish that. I was hoping to finish it before the season started, but if it happens, it happens. If not, then I'm gonna keep poking away at it.
I remember when you just first started that, you were like, "Hey, I'm going to take my time and just write something I want to write," and I can't
Yep.
wait for it to finally come out. But
Yep.
I uh, I heard that you made some new modifications to your car. How does Tabby like driving it?
She doesn't. She can't drive it anymore. So I got rid of the power steering. I went to a manual rack, to save some weight, to save some pulley, resistance, I guess, and to go to a shorter belt, all that fun stuff you do with race cars. And now she can't turn the wheel because it's a manual rack. The rear end. There's so much going on with that car right now. I'm actually mad at the car that I can't. I don't have fun driving it on these roads out here. Basically, it's become a car that's like a trailer queen. I think that it's just not good on these curvy roads out here. It's really not. It's more of a straight line car. So, unfortunately, Tab is mad about the enhancements to the car. It made it faster, but it's not as fun to drive.
Yeah, that's a Rod question, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, Rod. Yes, Jared. By the way, Jared, that is a Ken Griffey, right? Huh? That right there. Yeah, that's a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card in there. I have a couple cards around that I'll eventually pass down to my son. My dad left behind a Jordan rookie card. It's the Fleer. It's not the Star one. It's the Fleer rookie card. That is sitting in a safe at my mom's house. That is like in a glass case. That's like this thick. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
Yeah.
One more story. Tell me about this key lime pie story from Key West that everybody's talking about.
Key lime pie story. We went into this one, and it was called. We were in Key West, and actual Key West, and we walked into the shop. It was like the original key lime pie store or whatever they called it, and it was like, all right, we're gonna try this out because we were trying like all these key lime pies. We were on vacation with friends, and we walked into this place, and the woman is telling us all about the key lime pies and what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and this and that, and like she's giving us advice, and we're like, "Can we get some forks?" And then all of a sudden, she realized it was like 9 o'clock on the dot and it was time to close her doors. Before even giving us the fork, she goes, "Okay, bye." Like she cut us off mid-sentence, and it was just like it was almost like I was talking to a John where she was talking our ears off, and then it goes, "Okay, bye." And she literally walked around the counter and started pushing us out the door. You kind of had to be there to understand how funny it was, but it was a story that I'll never forget.
They were telling me about how funny it was, and they were dying laughing the whole time. So
The rest of the trip, all the couples that were there, we started just saying okay bye to everybody that we just wanted to stop talking to.
I was told to ask about how to cook chili on a stove in a crock pot, how that works out.
Stop it. It's not funny at all. It doesn't work. Don't do
Uh,
it.
all right, back to fantasy football stuff. I got a lot more awesome stories I never knew about you from the last week or so from a lot of your friends, but I'm going to get in trouble, and they're going to get in trouble if I ask them all.
Yeah, I'm
So,
probably getting in
but,
trouble too.
yeah. So How is are you in any rookie drafts right now? Who's your guy? Who's your favorite rookie to draft, and who you trading up to get the most in these drafts? If you trade, I'm more of a trader than you are. I know you don't trade, but
Honestly, all my rookie drafts were done right after the draft. It's been so long, I almost forget who was in just rookie drafts. Because I'm so focused on redraft now. It's you go from rookie drafts, then you go into dynasty, and then you go into redraft. And I'm in redraft mode right now. But if I go to my rankings and rookie, I mean, I could tell you one of the players that was falling further than he should have was Devante Smith. Devante Smith was someone that people were obviously worried about his stature and that he was too small. But in the NFL today, the game has changed so much in a way that it's made it beneficial for players like him. Players like him are not going to take his biggest hits as like someone like Deshaun Jackson did back in the day. And Deshaun Jackson obviously made it work. Once he took a few big hits over the middle of the field, he stopped playing there. But Devante Smith, it's not like Devante Smith played at BYU and he dominated some crappy competition. No, Devante Smith played at Alabama against the best cornerbacks that he possibly could. Their schedule is one of the toughest in college football. They knew what was coming every single time. He had Mac Jones throwing to him, which, by the way, people don't believe in Mac Jones, as we've heard on Twitter constantly.
right.
Tua Tagovailoa, obviously, now that he's in the pros, he didn't look as good. But those are the guys he had thrown to him against that competition when those guys knew it was coming, and he's still dropping it on you. Like the dude I think he had more 3 touchdown games than he did 1 touchdown games during the 2020 college season. Devante Smith's a baller. And the best thing about it is that if Jalen Hurts pans out, great. If he doesn't, that means the Eagles are going to be in a position to take a quarterback early in next year's draft, or they trade for Deshaun Watson, which is rumors that are happening right now. I don't necessarily believe it. I don't think that Deshaun Watson's getting traded. I don't think that a franchise can move 3 first-round picks and a couple other proven players for a player that's stuck in an investigation that has 22 pending cases. I can't see it. But Devante Smith is a baller, and he's someone that I will wind up with I have him on a lot of my teams because, again, if I had the 7th or 8th pick, he was falling to that range, which I thought was stupid.
Yeah, I've been getting right around the third round, beginning of third, right before the third. I've been trading for Amari Rodgers everywhere. If that's kind of where he's going in rookie drafts now this time, and I think that's a bargain where he's to get him over there. I kind of wait for. I don't have any picks. I trade them all away the year before, probably 2 years before it even come up. And when it's draft time and you see the guys you like on the clock and they're still available, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So,
how much did Amari Rodgers? You mentioned Amari Rodgers. How much does his stock tumble knowing that Rodgers is gone after this year?
I, you never know. That'll be come up later in the conversation. But what happens if Rodgers they win and then everybody makes up and he stays the last 2 or 3 years in Green Bay? I mean, I understand that right now he's just kind of like, hey, I still want to play. I did the best I could to get the GM fired. You guys didn't do it. I understand now that I'm not here. But what if they win? And what if they win a Super Bowl and the town just says, pay the man, give him whatever he wants.
It's not about the money though, but he literally turned down a contract extension that would have made him, I think they said it was close to $50 million a year, and he turned it down because it's not about the money to him anymore. And reportedly, everything that's coming out is that Rodgers is going to come back to the Packers if they meet the certain stipulations that he wants. He said he wanted Randall Cobb. That's apparently one of those things, and that makes sense as to why the Texans traded for Anthony Miller this past weekend. If that's been in the making that they're going to move Cobb, not that the Texans matter. They should be trading everybody away that has any sort of value. But Rodgers also said one of those stipulations is that he is going to be gone after this year. That it's the last dance, and that's why him and Devontae Adams were posting that. Devontae Adams not going to do a contract extension. They can still franchise tag him, but Rodgers, basically the agreement is that this is his last year with Green Bay, and they're going to let him go to the team of his choosing.
Yeah, I see that everywhere. Things change, though, man. People have better attitudes. People work things out.
That dude holds grudges. Like, that dude doesn't talk to his own family because they did something back then. And that's the thing is, like, people are quick to jump on him for that. I'm not, because if he has something legitimate that he's mad at his family about, that's his thing. That's up to him what he's going to do. But that's what I'm saying. Rodgers can hold a grudge, and he will.
Yeah, I know. You can't put yourself in those player situations. You don't know what they're going through, what's going on behind the scenes. You can't make decisions for somebody. You don't know how bad. I mean, we see how bad as a public how bad they treated him. But that's just us seeing like what the Green Bay Packers are, what people are showing us. We don't really have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So, let's see. What's your favorite Sunday afternoon munching food when you're glued to the TV watching Scott Hansen for the first games anyway before you start writing?
Oh, come on, it's pizza.
I
And if anybody answers anything other than pizza, it's a wrong answer.
All right, it's not chimichangas, Phil.
No.
It's all right. Some current events. Cam Akers tore his Achilles. Is it Darrell Henderson season, or who do you think? What's going to happen there? Who they bringing in?
Yeah, Darrell Henderson appears to be the guy. The Rams came out afterwards and said that they're not actively pursuing anybody right now. But my guess is that they're going to wait to see what cuts are, because there's talks that the Patriots might cut Sony Michel. There's talk that the Broncos might cut Royce Freeman. There's a couple of running backs that could be out there that could create some competition. With that being said, Darrell Henderson was still drafted in the second round by this regime. They like Darrell Henderson. It's just a matter of they were moving on from Gurley, and it was the reason that I wasn't as high on Akers as some were this year, because I felt like Darrell Henderson was going to have a role in this offense and bigger than some people wanted to admit. Some people have also now said that is Darrell Henderson's upside even higher because he doesn't have a Darrell Henderson on the roster to compete with that Cam Akers did. But in reality, they're going to bring in somebody. I can't imagine that Xavier Jones is going to be the guy that they're going to trust with the number 2 job and then have Jake Funk behind him as the passing down back or something like that. So I definitely anticipate them signing another running back. The question is it someone of significance that can compete with Henderson? As of right now, and on top of, there was news that came out today that actually is very promising for Darrell Henderson. The Rams came out and said they will not play him in any preseason games. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that tells you they want to protect him, that they're not worried about the reps. He knows the offense, that they're going to protect him. That tells me that they're going to plan for him as a starting running back. So Darrell Henderson, to me, is a tremendous value in drafts. I thought that he was going to move up into like the high 3rd round conversation, but he's been hanging around in like the 5th round. I got him last night in the Pros versus Joes draft. I think I got him at like 601 was where I drafted him, and I was ecstatic about it. I couldn't believe he fell that far.
Yeah, that's good. That's good value, man. I mean, if you get him there, that's great. No. How many running backs ever come back from an Achilles? Just
honestly, if you look at the history of them, they don't. But at the same time, Achilles has been a killer for every position. And then what was it? It was Jimmy Graham, right? That he had the Achilles injury, and he actually came back and played decent with Seattle. And
Emmanuel Sanders.
And yeah, a couple guys have come back from it now, where modern medicine has gotten better and better. So we can't say, oh, the guys back in the 80s or the guys back in the 90s couldn't come back from an Achilles tear, because it's different, right? Running backs do rely on that more than probably anybody else.
Right.
But to me, Cam Akers he wasn't like, Christian McCaffrey. He wasn't Saquon Barkley. He wasn't those guys that are just like so that they were can't miss talents or anything like that. Cam Akers was a solid player. But I think a lot's going to be hinging on Marlon Mack and how he looks a year off an Achilles injury, because they cleared him. They say he's going to be able to go. He's not even going to start the year on the PUP list or nothing like that. So he's going to play. So I guess keep your eyes on Marlon Mack if you're wondering, what the recovery might look like for Cam Akers.
Marlon Mack season, baby.
No. Oh.
Did you ever see on I don't know if you're in any leagues in Sleeper, that the whole place goes absolutely nuts every time they mention Marlon Mack on the comments. It's absolutely amazing how funny it is. I don't know why. It's just some cold thing, whatever. But Chris Hogan signs with the Saints. I was under the impression they were going to take in Golden Tate. That was kind of, and it got to be a popular kind of thought on Twitter for a while. But he's a temp employee to fill in for Michael Thomas, who it is what it is. What do you think about Chris Hogan signing with the Saints to fill in the Michael Thomas role until Thomas comes back in 3 months or 4 months?
Yeah, whenever he comes back. Some people are saying it's going to be like week 12. I don't know. It's all speculation right now. I thought it was going to be Kenny Stills. I thought the Saints should have went out there and signed Kenny Stills. He obviously has experience in the Sean Payton offense, but Chris Hogan, that doesn't do it. That doesn't move the needle.
No.
This entire Michael Thomas thing and like their depth chart, we knew they were going to go out there and sign someone, but Chris Hogan, no. I think all of this adds up to Taysom Hill starting, not James Winston. Yeah.
I hate to say it, and I'm going to agree with you right now.
That's your boy.
But I figured for sure if Thomas was healthy, and I had these rumors about Michael Thomas having surgery, and I kept hearing rumors. I'm like, well, if there's smoke, there's fire, but nothing. You can't wait this long to have surgery. And sure enough, they say the end of June he had surgery. I'm like, what the middle end of June? Why do these players wait so long to have these kind of surgeries? Is it back on company time or something, or what? I mean, doing a Scottie Pippen?
Some people have suggested that. Dr. Chow, he's on our show in season every week, and I talked to him about the injury, and he said that typically what happens is, with this particular injury, he would have set a deadline. They knew after the season it was possible that Michael Thomas was going to need surgery. He said, I would have set a deadline to say, hey, if it's not better by X date, we're going to do this. And understanding the timetable that he would have set on an injury like this, it would have been back in March. He said the
Yeah.
surgery should have been done back in March. He said he doesn't really know why it was put off until June, but hopefully more information comes out about it. I don't know. It's really tough to say because Michael Thomas obviously he suffered an injury last year at the foot, ankle, and then tried to come back, and it really just didn't work out for him. He there's a chance of re-injury. It's coming. I think Dan Harris has talked me into just removing Michael Thomas from my draft board, and it's probably the right thing to do. Just because I think best case scenario right now is that he's back for week 7, but again, it's costing you a spot on your roster. I think it depends. If you have an IR slot in your redraft leagues, then Michael Thomas is worth a little bit more to me. And I'm willing to spend a draft pick on him because then he's not clogging up a roster spot. But even then, I still don't think I'm going to draft him until probably around the wide receiver 40 range.
Yeah, that's tough. And then who knows how, even if he does come back week 6, week 7, he's not going to come back and be Michael Thomas 100% in his first day back. It's going to take him a while to get used to the offense. Taysom Hill did pretty good with him last year. So there's some hope anyway, but
there was a scenario where Michael Thomas was going to see 200 targets this year. There was a chance for that. And now obviously it's not going to happen, but Traquan Smith, John, how do you feel about Traquan Smith? Because there's ranging opinions about him right now. Like I've seen him as high as wide receiver 33, as low as wide receiver 60.
You know what? He's been somebody who's always been on people's radars. He's always been that guy. Hey, don't overlook my Traquan Smith. Don't overlook Traquan Smith. Don't overlook this guy. He's going to be something. He'll be a great number 2, number 3, maybe. And I just don't behind Kamara. And now he's not going to fill in for Michael Thomas. He doesn't even play that. But I don't. I think he's like a wide receiver 5. There's no way he's a wide receiver 3 in any. Especially with the situation going on with Taysom Hill. I think they're going to bring in Taysom Hill now. And they're going to make this a ground and pound team and just try to make Taysom Hill run and run the clock. But the problem is their defense isn't that good anymore. They used to have a pretty good defense. Now their defense is terrible, and I don't think they can play that ground and pound game. They're going to have to throw, but still, that does not make Traquan Smith a wide receiver 3 at all by any means.
I believe that while Mike Thomas is out, Traquan Smith is going to be a wide receiver 4 that you could probably platoon with someone else that you could probably say, okay, depending on the matchup that they're in, I could see playing Traquan Smith as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, something like that. But once Michael Thomas comes back, Traquan Smith goes back to basically irrelevant. So therefore, drafting him as a wide receiver 4 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For me, he's a wide receiver 5. That's where he fits in.
Yeah, let's see. Teams are reporting to camp, so we're about to see a lot of things unfold on depth charts, and hopefully not too many more injuries. Last year was brutal when the season started with all the injuries. People hate to see it. I hate when people root on people's fantasy football teams that are stacked. They're like, oh yeah, this guy had Saquon and CMC, and they both got hurt. Now he's going to lose the championship. Like those, that sucks. That sucks for anybody. It could be you. And these guys, they have a 5-6 year window in the NFL to make money, to live out their dreams, to do whatever. An injury like this, taking out a year, maybe 2 years of a kid playing his dream sports season. Don't ever root for injuries. I hate seeing that kind of stuff on Twitter and people making fun of other people as far as that goes. But it seems like Aaron Rodgers, this is what we were talking about before, seems like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are headed for a 1-year deal. So one more and make a try deal. We talked about that already. Dak should be a full camp participant. Ronald Jones is the best running back in Tampa Bay. I see the reports yesterday and today. Your guy.
Duh. I mean, it's anybody who watched the Bucs last year could tell you Ronald Jones is the best running back in that team. I don't playoff Lenny.
Yeah.
Playoff Lenny got his opportunity because Ronald Jones was hurt. That's it.
It's Lombardi Lenny, first of all. Okay, so
Lombardi Lenny. Nice. That's funny.
OBJ says he's feeling good. I do not want any OBJ on any of my teams ever.
Oh, stop it. So hold on. Stop. So here's the thing. The hate on OBJ, has it been warranted the last couple of years? Yeah, obviously it's panned out in your favor. But he's being drafted in the 6th, 7th round this year. Okay, this is the same situation as AJ Green last year that I told people. It's not like you're investing a 3rd round pick in Odell Beckham anymore. a first, second, third. It doesn't matter. You're not drafting him there anymore. It's not like when you're in the 6th or 7th round, you're getting a player that you're guaranteed to get production out of. Those players are long gone by that point. Odell Beckham has literally showcased top 5 and a wide receiver upside in the NFL. Now, it's been a long time, granted, but in the 6th round, you are not losing your fantasy league because you drafted Odell Beckham in the 6th round.
All right, I know fantasy is the big thing here, but don't you think the Browns looked better without OBJ last year as a team?
Well, no, it's a question that people ask me because they're like, is it possible that that Baker Mayfield is better without Odell Beckham? And I said, no. There's no situation where a quarterback's going to be better without a top tier talent. It's the thing that happened was that Baker Mayfield caught on to Kevin Stefanski's offense. Now, because you've seen the growth as the weeks went on. And Baker, the way that he finished the season, it was a lot better than the way he started it. When he started it, Baker Mayfield looked bad. And I told people, I said, look, Beckham started the year, and I think he had like 10 targets against the Ravens, and he had like 1 or 2 catches. It was a terrible game.
Yeah.
So, and people were right away throwing Beckham under the bus. So I went back and I watched that game on Game Pass. I watched every single one of his routes. He was open 80% of the time, and he was covered by a top tier corner. The Ravens are a good team. They're a good defense. Yeah. Odell Beckham was still Beckham. Baker was missing him. Here's the thing, what I think. I think Baker was forcing the ball to Odell Beckham quite a bit. And I think that it was ruining what he does very well. Baker Mayfield, going back to Oklahoma, is a guy that scanned the field extremely well, found the open guy, didn't take very many chances. He got Odell Beckham as a new toy, and he started forcing the ball. And that's just something that Baker had to learn. And so did Baker play better without Beckham? Yes, he did. I think part of it has to do with learning the offense. Part of it be like the offensive line getting some continuity because they started playing together. That was like a brand new unit last year. The run game coming together and all of that. And again, not forcing the ball to Beckham. I think it was a very valuable lesson for Baker last year. And I think he comes out better because of it. But when you add Odell Beckham back in the offense, you're not going to be worse because of it.
I like, players like Rashard Higgins and stuff like that. I just think that they're, not that they're great opportunities, but just they're good. They're just good team players. And I had conversations with people who were wide receivers before. And they had said that there's a route situation, like Chris Godwin when he practiced all summer long with Tom Brady. And Godwin didn't really like stop on routes and make the same cuts that like the Hogans and the Edelmans and these guys. They didn't have these crisp. He more rounded his routes, and that's why they never had the exacts. They were never on the same page. They made things happen, but the timing was terrible. Now I wonder if that timing is ever going to be the same, just because of the fact that OBJ runs his routes and Baker throws his balls, and it's never going to be like that. They're never going to mesh because they're always not going to be on the same page ever. I want and on top of that, as soon as the game's over with, is Baker afraid that the OBJ is going to go to the locker room and say, "Man, what the hell? Why did I only get 1 ball thrown at me? Or why did you throw me 15 balls? And none of them I couldn't get. They're uncatchable." What? Like, if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean,
I think those days are gone. I think Odell Beckham had a slice of humble pie this past season when he saw the Browns go to the playoffs without him in the lineup. Beckham has to realize he hasn't been that guy for 3-4 years. He has to kind of regain that mojo that he had. He has to regain that confidence. He can't demand those targets right now. And honestly, Odell Beckham has not been a bad teammate while in Cleveland. I know back in New York, there was a whole bunch of off the field stuff and him demanding I wanted to trade out. A lot of wide receivers are like that, and not everybody can be Julio Jones, which, by the way, Julio Jones basically said, I want out of Atlanta. So he eventually turned into that. So all wide receivers have to have some sort of alpha mentality if they want to be the guy, because that's part of it. They have that swag that, like, AJ Brown's got it. You know what I mean? Like, that dude knows he's good. And I'm sure he talks a bunch of crap on the field.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you need that to be that alpha. And Odell Beckham, again, this comes down to expectations. Before, if you had to spend a top 4 pick on him or something like that, yes, you're investing more. You need him to pan out. If Odell Beckham does not pan out as your wide receiver 3, you're gonna be okay.
You could swallow that, yeah.
Yeah.
Marcel Turians. I asked this earlier. I have 2 at quarterback in the 105 in my PPR dynasty. I plan to get Devante, but with Watson possibly going to Miami, should I take Trevor Lawrence instead? I don't think Watson's going to Miami. So, until it happens, you can't make these. He could go here, he could go there. I think you just have to do what's with what the information you have right now.
Yeah, I don't think Tua is going anywhere. Miami made the trade of their 105 pick long before they knew what they were going to get with that pick. But what they did know is that it was a tremendous quarterback class, and they had no idea who was going to fall there. They traded that pick long before the draft, telling me that they had zero considerations about drafting a quarterback and basically putting Tua towards the back. No one is going to be trading for Deshaun Watson right now. If they do, they're a terrible franchise. But again, the Dolphins were in a position this year to do whatever they wanted in the draft. They had so much draft capital. They could have done whatever they did, but they feel good about Tua. They're going to go forward with him. They're not trading from the only team that I could potentially see it is the Eagles. But again, I don't see that fan base in Philadelphia, that big fan base, being okay with it, because you have no idea what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But in your dynasty, it's a one quarterback league. I'm guessing you have another quarterback outside of Tua. But I mean, I wouldn't be pressed to go Trevor Lawrence there. I really wouldn't.
Not even close. No.
And honestly, even if Watson was, which again, I don't think it's going to happen. If that did happen, that means Tua would be the starter for Houston and whatever.
Nothing to throw to. Right.
Well, yes, but he'd still be a starting quarterback. It's not like you're not going to be okay. You'll figure it out.
Nick Chubb's in extension talks with the Browns. I hope that gets done. Joe Burrow expects his knee to be fully healthy by training camp. I mean, I saw him throwing today on TV. I did not. It's one thing to have a torn ACL or a torn something, but he tore everything in his knee. I'm surprised that modern medicine and all, when you tear a cartilage on top of all those ligaments, to come back now is amazing. If he plays this year right from the get-go, I mean, that's Marvel medicine. That's amazing. I thought he was sitting out I thought he was starting out at a pup. And if they went like 0-5 or 0-6 or 0-7, they were just going to keep him out the whole year long and then rehab him for next year. But if he plays this year, that's awesome. You've seen that he's on the field and everything, right? I mean, as far as the reports are concerned, Joe Burrow.
Oh, Burrow, yeah. Yeah, based on everything we're hearing, that he's going to be out there. Now, my problem is this. The Bengals coaching staff said that he's not going to be playing any preseason games. This is where my problem starts with the Bengals. If you go back to 2019, if you remember, AJ Green suffered his injury and they said it's going to be a couple weeks. And then it turned into, okay, it's going to be a month and then we're going to have him back. And then it came like, okay, it's coming time for him to return. All right, we're expecting one more week. Well, and then all of a sudden he shut down. Like, wait, what happened? You guys were telling us it was a couple weeks. Like, what happened? And it was like, that's a one-off scenario. And it's like, okay, there could have been some complications. There could have been something that popped up, whatever. And then fast forward to 2020, and then it was Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon gets hurt. Oh, he's day to day. We don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden he's ruled out for that week. Okay. He's week to week now. Okay. And we're expecting him back no later than this. Next thing we know, Joe Mixon is shut down for the season. I don't trust the Bengals medical staff.
No.
It sounds terrible. And, the fact that we're not going to see Joe Burrow in the preseason makes me worried. I wanted to see Burrow out there. And honestly, it concerns me because you think about it, a player coming off an ACL. So I've talked to Tabby about this. She's a nurse. And she said coming off an ACL, it's just as much mental as it is physical. You have to be able to take that hit. You have to understand that you're going to get hit, that your knee is going to be as strong as it was before. And if Joe Burrow is not taking those hits in practice, which damn right, they're not hitting him in practice.
Right.
And if he's not taking any hits in the preseason, he's going to walk out there basically rusty in week one. We have no idea how he's handled it mentally. We don't know that. And it's not me suggesting Burrow is soft. He could be fine, but there's some people that just struggle to come back from it more than others, worrying it's going to happen again. So not seeing him in the preseason and adding in the fact that the Bengals medical staff has been a joke to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really interested in Burrow anyway. From a redraft standpoint, he's more of a streamer. Like I'll stream him if you want to grab him as like a platoon type player. Like you get Burrow and then you grab Stafford or someone like that. Okay, that's fine. But I'm not drafting Burrow as the QB 13 thinking I'm getting a top 8 quarterback, because I don't think you are.
No, I honestly believe he's not going to play the first 6 games this year. I honestly think he's not going to play. So that's just me. But Zach Moss is expected to be the RB1 this year. Overall, that's what I heard.
Overall?
Is that? Well, that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So we'll see.
Oh, Zach Moss. I like Zach Moss, but I mean, the knock on him coming out of college was his health, and his rookie year didn't do anything to ease that burden. He's better than Devin Singletary, but again, he's got to stay healthy. This team. The problem is that this team still revolves around Josh Allen. Yep. Josh Allen's still going to be the best goal line back on that team, which is going to limit things. They don't throw to their running backs a whole lot, so the upside's limited. It's kind of like a Damian Harris situation.
Mm-hmm.
Where, okay, if you get him as like a flex, whatever, you're fine. But there's never going to be top 15 potential as long as Cam Newton's a quarterback and as long as Josh Allen's a quarterback. There's not top 15 upside there.
I tell you what, though, they did give the running backs opportunity in Buffalo. Zach Moss had opportunities to score, didn't get in. Second Singletary had a handful of opportunities to score. They didn't get in. Josh Allen didn't just take it and tuck it and run for touchdowns every time. So it leads me to believe that maybe the offense was developing. That they're going to give Moss more chances, and if he starts punching a couple of them in, then where Josh Allen doesn't have to go on third down and say I got to do it myself because you guys can't get it done at first and second down. I think Moss is in for a lot of positive regression as far as that goes, but. Obviously that's a joke about him RB1 season, but right. I think they don't want to get Josh Allen hurt. They're going to try and have a running back who's meant to punch in the end zone, So
while you were talking, I just pulled up the stat. All right. So Josh Allen had 9 carries inside the 5-yard line. Mm-hmm. 7 of them were touchdowns.
And what does it say what down they were on? And how many second chance opportunities?
I could pull it up and find that. Zach Moss had 8 carries inside the 5. 2 were touchdowns.
See?
Devin Singletary had 5. That's one every other game, though. That's not great.
I understand that, but still, he had the opportunity. He got stopped, and Josh Allen had to take it in because as a decoy, as a thirds. They don't want Josh Allen to run on first and second down. They want the running backs to score. And if they're going to say, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to make one of you guys a PPR back, one of you guys an early down back, and Josh Allen's going to have to, plunge through the middle to, score these touchdowns. It is what it is. If that's what the offense is, that's what it unfolds to be. It is what it is. But the first chance opportunities was always a running back. And then Josh Allen said, okay, I guess it's my turn because you guys can't do shit here. So it happened. I'm just hoping that maybe this year they're hoping Josh Allen runs and they won't be 100%. It'll be one-on-one linebacker was covering Zach Moss doing the goal line work, and he'll punch maybe 3 or 4, maybe hopefully 5 or 6 more in the end zone instead of getting stopped. Yeah. But that's just me hoping because it's my guy.
That's just me hoping.
All right, commissioner questions here. When did you start playing fantasy football? And are you more of a redraft or dynasty guy now? I know you've been through every league and up and down the ladder, and I played some leagues with you that weren't even fun. It was contract and years of service, and nobody. And I like trading, and there was like one trade every 2 years in that league. So,
yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's just too much at some point. I started playing in 2008, which it always used to feel like it wasn't even that long ago. And then it's just like all of a sudden I'm considered like a veteran for whatever reason, but it still feels like pretty new to me in a way because it's just, I don't know. I'll never forget the first year I played. By the way, I didn't even invite my friends to that league because I thought that they would call me a nerd for playing fantasy football. So because I thought it was actual fantasy football, like fantasy made up players. And then I played in a public league just to see what it was. And it was not fantasy. It was actually like real football. So, I don't really know. Dynasty is cool.
Yeah,
Dynasty's cool. I like Dynasty a lot because I don't have to worry about the waivers so much. And honestly, in season for me, I'm more about the readers and the listeners. Where my advice, like the advice I do, like I'm focused on everything else but my fantasy teams because like my fantasy teams, I'm analyst first, player second. Like when I started doing it for a living, that's when I had to make that decision. And it's like my favorite DFS plays, I'm not going to hoard them to myself. I'm actually going to give them to my followers. So it's really tough. I enjoy both for different reasons. I just think it depends on who you're playing with, but home leagues are always fun. And those are typically redraft formats and you get a new team every year. So I guess I'd say redraft more so. Just because again, it just keeps things interesting on a year-to-year basis. Whereas Dynasty, it can get a little bit stale if there's a couple teams towards the top. Even if it's my own, it's not fun because there's no competition at that point.
Yeah, I've gone 100%, full dynasty. So it's redraft just seems like a horse race to me right now. If you don't, I mean, I've been in leagues before where I've had the best team. I've scored the most. I beat everybody else in the league by 50 points except the guy I played week 1 through 6. Every week the guy scored 2 points more than me or 3 points more than me, and I'm like, I'm 0-6. And this is a redraft league, and literally I have 300 points more than anybody else in the league, and I'm 0-6. This is BS.
First off, it's because you play in stupid. And by the way, anybody listening to this right now, if there's one thing that I would tell John to stop,
I'm gonna mute you.
No, don't do it. No, tell John to stop playing with stupid divisions. Like this dude is back from 1980. I kid you not. Is that he tells me he's like, oh, you got to have the divisions. I'm like, no, you don't, because the best team should be in the playoffs. Like he does 12 team leagues with like 3 divisions. I'm
4 divisions.
What are you talking about?
4 divisions.
That's 3 teams per division.
Yes, that's 4 playoff automatic spots, and then there's
so
2 highest point scores make the playoffs on top of that.
Guys, please, like, tell him he's idiotic for doing that.
Listen, that's strike 2, okay? Let's see. Do you like playing in all different kind of leagues, or do you like playing like in a cookie cutter where you know all the settings all the time? You go in there and just set your lineups and draft the right way, or do you like kind of like what's this league doing? What's that league doing? Like kind of the variety of leagues.
I like variety. However, I think it can get stupid. Where people are starting to do weird things with penalties and like honestly, there, John, you play in a lot of those leagues where you started telling me about that. I'm like, why would you give points for that? Like, you're trying to eliminate randomness. I am all about. I am all.
Get it together, man.
I am all about creating more predictability. That's why I think PPR is a better format than standard. I think it's better than half PPR. Half PPR is a good middle ground. And I understand that full PPR gives, well, if a player catches a pass for -2 yards, he shouldn't be given 0.8 points. Okay, that's a very small argument against PPR. I can better predict a player that's going to have 6 catches for 80 yards than I can a player that's going to have 1 catch for a 70-yard touchdown, which are basically the same things in PPR formats. But it evens it out a little bit. So I prefer that.
This JD guy, another one. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, no divisions make no sense. Like when John brought this up to me, he was like, "Hey, you want to join this league I'm in?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to eliminate leagues." And he starts. I'm like, "All right, what's the league about?"
It was
And he
awesome. It's got
he starts
divisions.
telling me, and he's like, "It's got like divisions." I was like, "I'm out." As soon as he said divisions, I was like, "I'm out."
People trade. There's divisions. It's crazy. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Oh boy.
What's your favorite host site for fantasy football? I already know this, but what's your favorite host site for fantasy football?
I think it really depends on where you started playing. And me, I started playing Yahoo, so I always like Yahoo leagues. And honestly, I think it's the most user friendly like interface. Even still, like I try and be. I mean, I've played on all sites. I've played on CBS. I played on ESPN. Played on MFL. MFL's it could be so good if they just got some developers to work on the damn site. So I played on Sleeper, all those sites. I played on them all, and Yahoo is it's just everything makes sense to me on Yahoo, and their app obviously works, which is always good.
Yeah, I was always in ESPN. The same thing. I like ESPN so much more than, but I started playing when it was just touchdowns and it was just there was no PPR. It was like quarterback,
you
2
were
running
playing back in
backs,
the
2 wide
70s.
receivers.
I know, Grandpa. I know.
So anyway, before I was really interrupted, yes, there was non-PPR scoring, all that kind of stuff, and it was super awesome. It was low scoring games, but now I like having 100 million points a game. I like winning games 275 to 268, or having extra. I don't even like playing with kickers anymore, but back in the day, I would try to implement more, for their field goals, and quarterback sack should be -2, and all. People hate scoring. I find the more and more leagues I join in, people hate scoring. They just hate
scoring is okay, John. It's just the random crap that you want to throw in there does not need to be there.
Do your homework and you'll be fine, right?
So that's the thing. That's the part with me that I'm always prepared no matter what happens, because I have my set of projections and I'm able to plug it in. Like legit, I did a draft last night that was pros versus Joes. It was a tight end premium, whatever. I did Scott Fishbowl, just it was not even a month ago now, where I was able to just take my projections, put them in a different spreadsheet, organize the scoring the way it's supposed to be done, spit it out, and then it just helps me create tiers from there is all.
Mm-hmm. I love tiers. I love dynasty tiers. I remember when me and you sat and made that one tier sheet, for the dynasty tiers. It was like one of my first dynasty drafts. I think it was like 4 years ago or something. It was super cool. I love tiers. I love making my own tiers and stuff, but that's the way to go. If you can't just randomly pick players, you have to kind of put your guys where you think where they should be together, bunch them together, and when the whole tier is gone, then move on to the next tier, and so be it. That's the only way to really do it, I think.
Yeah.
So do you like all kind of bonus scoring and stuff like that, or you like to keep it simple? Like where are you at as far as scoring? I mean, I know we just talked about, kind of touched a minute ago, but what do you really like as far as?
I mean, I could do with or without bonuses. Like if you start doing bonuses at 100-yard passing and then 200 yards passing and then 300 yards passing, it gets to be redundant and it's kind of dumb. It's just adding more value to that position.
Well, let me go on that a little bit more, because I understand 100, 200, and even the 300-yard passing game is kind of the norm now. It almost shouldn't be rewarded for. So what about 400, 500, 600? Like if you hit a 600-yard passing game, which I don't think it's ever happened, but like a 500-yard passing game, why should you get the same 1 point or 2 points, or no thing? What's no extra points at all for getting a 600-yard passing game?
I mean, I believe in bonuses, but I don't believe you should lose your week just because one guy had a dominant performance. Where if the rest of your team sucks, they shouldn't be carried by just one guy. And that's what happens if you have like that. And but this is another case to extend your league. Like if you want to create a skill gap in your fantasy football league, because let's be honest, John, the way that things used to be, if you were the best fantasy football player in your league, you did the most research, you were probably going to win your league. If at the very least you're going to finish top 3 because you knew what you were doing, you were always on top of the ball. But nowadays, people can just legitimately show up to their draft. Like I have friends that will show up to their draft, our draft with my rankings in hand. They didn't do any research. That they're able to do that. They're able to go to fantasypros.com. They're able to pull up the ECR and say, all right, this is who should be going here, and basically be able to draft a competent team. Now, does that mean that they're going to not be behind on some things because there was an injury or there's something going on in the preseason that we've been monitoring? Those things can give you that edge, but the more starting lineup positions you have, the more it's going to separate that talent gap. So therefore, if you're playing in a 12-team league right now, you have one quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, extend that. Go 1 quarterback, go 3 running backs, 3 or 4 wide receivers, 2 flex, and 1 tight end. The deeper your starting lineup is, the more that one player won't cost you that week. The better team will often win those matchups. So again, for me, it's all about depth and whoever creates the deeper team, because again, everyone knows who's supposed to be going in the first 5, 6, 7 rounds. But after that is when you start reaching a little bit for your guys. And that's when you're going to find out who's the best fantasy football player.
You like playing in 12, 14, or 16 team, like 10, 12, 14, or 16 team leagues the most? What are you, and let's just say it's a 10, let's say there's 11 starters. A super flex, you got 2 quarterbacks, probably 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 3 flexes, and a tight end. Or, flexes could be tight end, running back, wide receiver.
For sure.
What would you rather have? Like a 10 team with really deep, or a 14 team that's also, let's say, 25 rounds, no kicker, no defense, 14 teams, or like 12, 25, 12, 30-ish kind of?
If it's a snake format, I think 12 teams is the max I want to do. Because in a 14 team, there's too big of gaps there. Your draft position determines a whole lot. Going 27 picks without one, it's kind of ridiculous. Where it's just too many. So if you're in an auction, though, 14 teams work, because then again, you stretch it out. You put deeper starting lineups, and all of a sudden in a 14 team league, you're going to be looking at some teams that are putting out a wide receiver 50 as their number 4 receiver or whatever. So, right. I mean, there's definitely auctions allow you to do things like that. That's why I like auctions so much, because again, you have to balance that budget. You have to figure that out on the fly. And auctions take a lot of time, but they're worth it. So if you're talking about, again, auction leagues, I will go up to 14 team. If you're doing a snake format, 12 is ideal. But if you can only find 10 guys that are hardcore, and then you're searching for 2 other guys that aren't really into it, you're just doing it to get bodies, it's kind of a waste. Yes, it can bring some more money into the pot, and those guys are probably going to suck anyway. But at the same time, fantasy leagues are much more fun when you know all the guys, when you're able to just talk smack every single week. That's just part of fantasy football. That's part of the thing that I used to love about it. So again, if you have a 10-team league, make it deeper and deeper, because again, 10-team leagues are all about studs on your team. So you need to make those starting lineups deeper.
I can't play in 10-team leagues. It drives me nuts.
It's rough. It can be rough, but here, John, think about it this way. If you played in a 10 team and you started 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 2 flex, and a tight end, it wouldn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
Because again, it wouldn't just be, because in normal 10-team leagues, it's a lineup full of studs, and it's basically the battle of who can stay healthiest the longest. But if you do deeper starting lineups, that's going to separate the talent gap.
Are you a taxi squad fan? And if so, what year is the best year to implement a taxi squad? Like right from the get-go, year 1, year 2? Like, because in my leagues, I'm in nothing but home leagues. I only have one non-home league, and that's the Scott Fish Bowl. I've been in that for 4 or 5 years in a row, I think. But every league I'm in is a home league. It's we get together, we draft every year, rookie draft. We just had a bunch of them going on. We do it where year 1 we start with 25 rounds. Year 2 we implement a 5-round rookie draft. If we expand the rosters to 30, and then year 3 we start a taxi squad of 5 players, and then we never expand after that. That's the end of it. So, how do you like? Do you like taxi squads, or is there a time that you think? I think if you start with like a 30-round and a 5-player taxi squad, or a 7-player taxi squad,
why not
whatever
just
you
do
want to do.
35-man rosters then?
That's kind of, but some people like the idea of being able to hold a guy that you draft in a taxi squad for, 2 years without dropping him, without worrying about him and not being your active roster. They want 30 rosters and the 30 roster spots, and then a five player taxi squad. It kind of got voted in. A lot of these got voted down, but there's a couple of them I do playing that do like it that way. I'm not a big fan of taxi squads, but would you implement one? And if so, when would you do it?
Honestly, me personally, in my leagues, I would not. I would just I had a dynasty league that I started up. Geez, I think it was like 6 years ago. Yeah, it was 6 years ago because it was right when I got into the industry, and I wanted to do an industry league. And I got together and we created this league that had it was a 14 team league with 38-man rosters. I kid you not, like JJ Watt was owned and it was not IDP. It was because Watt would get like a goal line carry here and there, and sometimes you had to stick him in your lineup because this league we had it was you had to start one quarterback, three running backs, five wide receivers, and a tight end. So it was like a whole bunch of like you were starting a ton of players every single week in a 14 man. So it was like the waiver wires were nuts. Any player that basically would play over 20 snaps was owned.
Yeah,
It was
the
nuts.
water boy was owned on some people's teams, right?
It was nuts. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump to team evaluations. Every week we evaluate a team sent in by a listener to decide if there's if it's simple remodel or if it's a full scale rebuild. And then we this team we have is submitted by Steven Johnson. He's in a few of my local leagues. We're going to look at what the biggest needs are on his team. Who's your keep, trade, cut guys? What would you trade for to improve this team? And who would you send to do that kind of thing? So let me pull up this team here.
Whoa, we went down. Wrong. There's Kelly.
Wrong one. There's my background screen thing.
Yep.
Share my screen.
Make sure you close all windows, John. I don't want to know what you've been looking at.
No. Okay. So here we are. I made this little spreadsheet thing that we were talking about before.
All right.
This is a Dynasty Superflex PPR tight end premium of 0.5. It's a full PPR. Rosters are 12 teams, 30 man deep, plus unlimited spots for IR, but no taxi. Players are directly on rosters after the rookie draft. 11 weekly starters, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, which is running back, wide receiver, tight end, 1 super flex. And we have a bonus for a quarterback for 300 and 400 yards, and then a 6 point for every 100 yards rushing, receiving, no kicker, no defense kind of thing. So it's 12-team, 30-man rosters, but a little bit of scoring. Like I said, full PPR. So I have it broken down by position. So you can see he's got Baker Mayfield. First of all, I made recommendations here for green is keep, orange is trade, or yellow's hold, red's cut. So just kind of, I don't think he's got any. We'll go through the roster, but I don't think he's got anybody to cut on his team. But Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Dwayne Haskins are his 3 quarterbacks. So in a super flex right now, he's already needy at quarterback. He's got to do something about that. I don't think you can walk into super flex with only 2 quarterbacks, especially 2 tier 2 quarterbacks that are, kind of up and downish. Carr's a little more solid, a little more even than Baker Mayfield's kind of roller coaster weeks, but he's not your dependable quarterback 1. So we have running backs. He's got Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, Chris Carson, James Robinson, Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, Darrington Evans. So his running back, I mean, he's fine there. I like Aaron Jones or Chris Carson is a nice starting duo. James Robinson, Kareem Hunt are, good flex players. Michael Carter, he could be the Jets RB1. I don't think he's big enough to be a full down back as far as that goes. But as far as in a PPR league, I think he's fantastic. He could be a fantastic player. Trey Sermon, that's a crowded backfield with a lot of passing options on his team. Mostert, I think his days are kind of, he's not going to fit well in this offense. I don't think. A lot of people love him. I don't. Evans is just sitting there waiting for a spot to happen. And we got the receivers, Michael Thomas, OBJ, Curtis Samuel, Devonta Parker, De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson, John Brown, Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Anthony Schwartz, Keelan Cole, Brashard Perryman, Jalen Hurd, David Moore. And then we get tight ends, Darren Waller, Herndon, Jack Doyle, CJ Who's Your Mama, and Trey Kitty. So I kind of spit out a lot of names there. We could start at the top if you want to and kind of
Mhm.
go through each individual position, or where would you like to start here?
Yeah, I don't think this team's a contender right now. And I'm saying that like in Superflex, you need a stable one. Like I feel like you want a top 12 quarterback, and he doesn't have it. And Mayfield, he's a great QB2 to have, but does he have upside? I don't think so. He doesn't have much mobility for what, like honestly, I thought he'd have a little bit more in the NFL. He hasn't. He's been a terrible rusher, in fact. He hasn't done a whole lot. This team revolves around the running backs, so they're not going to throw the ball a whole lot. So if he's not running the ball and he doesn't have a ton of volume, he's going to be stuck outside the top 12 quarterbacks. Limited upside. He's stable, which is solid. That's fine. Derek Carr, I'm worried about his stability because I think that at some point John Gruden is going to have to start blaming somebody, and I think he's going to pass it on to Carr, which is probably unfair. Because what Carr's been given to work with, Greg Olson as his coordinator is just the worst thing ever. I'm worried that they go to Mariota at some point this year. I really am.
Yeah,
Well, stop it.
I love it.
He's terrible. Dwayne Haskins says he's garbage. He's never that's never going to happen.
Are you going to give him a chance because he was immature and he started out immature and he's sitting on the sidelines getting autographs instead of paying attention? I mean, are you going to say like, hey, this kid didn't know what he thought he saw the lights? I think he got a big fat slice of humble pie.
No, he fell in the draft a little bit more than people I think anticipated him to fall, and that if anything that was a reason. Quarterbacks shouldn't need a reason to play in the NFL. He had opportunities. The Steelers, that offensive line is crap. It's
Yes.
so bad right now. Ben Roethlisberger is going to have the job as long as he wants it, basically, which is probably this year. This is probably the last year for him. But Haskins, I want to say that he's probably going to be gone off the team next year. Apparently, Mason Rudolph is still the backup quarterback. It's not even Dwayne Haskins. Aaron Jones, we have one more year of Aaron Rodgers there in Green Bay. So that's like a contend now type running back. So you can probably move. I love Aaron Jones, the running back. I think he's fantastic. However, if I don't think this team's going to compete this year, then you have to start thinking about, okay, what can I get for some of these players? Chris Carson, he's on a 2-year deal, but it can be a 1-year deal if the Seahawks cut him with only a $3 million cap hit after this year. That's a possibility. It's a very short-term running back. Kareem Hunt, he's a flex play, a guy that if Nick Chubb gets hurt, you could obviously plug in. James Robinson, I don't like. James Robinson was a sell before they drafted Travis Etienne, and he's a sell now.
But what are you going to get? This he's not going to be. I don't think you could sell him because he's not for what he can produce for your team, especially beginning of this year. I think what you're going to sell him for, you're not going to be able to get true value, equal value for, or any kind of profit for him at this point.
I disagree. Like, here's the thing: he's being drafted in front of Travis Etienne in redraft formats, which tells me that people believe that you're still going to get one more year out of James Robinson. I don't think that's going to happen. I have James Robinson outside my top 35 running backs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe outside my top 30, but Travis Etienne's the best running back in that team.
Yes,
he is, and he should play right away. I don't really care that he's a rookie. It's a new coaching staff. They brought him in. They drafted him in the first round when they had tons of other needs. James Robinson is going to be lucky to get 12 touches a week. That's my opinion on him. I would sell him while you can, because some people still think that they can get another year out of him. Maybe a contender. Michael Carter, solid, but as you mentioned, limited ceiling. Obviously, a fourth round running back. Typically, they don't go off. I like him as a talent. I think he's the running back on that roster, but do they add a running back next year in the draft? We don't know. Trey Sermon, good long-term asset. Raheem Mostert having both of those that you could flip-flop, cool. Darrington Evans, fine. He's perfectly fine to have on your roster. But again, working down. Michael Thomas now injured this year. That's like, all right, well, are we in rebuild? We're probably going to hang on to Michael Thomas because his stock has dropped so much that you should not trade him. I would not be trading Michael Thomas right now. So again, that's going to hurt your team this year. So again, competing. Odell Beckham, the Browns, we've talked about the limited passing volume. I think he's going to be a perfectly fine wide receiver 3 and someone that's going to be a wide receiver 2 more often than not. I like him. And he's probably going to be good for another couple years. Curtis Samuel, Devontae Park. Like, I just don't see the star power to carry this team. Like, I believe that there's some solid pieces on it, but I don't see the star power. Me personally, I'd also be trading Darren Waller for a ton. Yeah. Darren Waller can net a lot in a trade right now. And it's not to say Darren Waller is not a superstar and that he's not worth a ton. He is, but when you're a team that's saying, all right, we're not going to compete this year, we might be a year or two away. I never want to say I'm giving up on this year and next year. You never do that. But if you can look at your roster and say, okay, be honest with yourself and say, I'm not going to compete this year. I'm not going to win a championship with this team. So unless I'm willing to trade future picks to try and compete this year, you have to say, all right, what are the players that only have a year or two left? And that's the players that we talked about throughout this. Just to say, because Waller's getting up there in age a little bit. I know his career took a little bit to get started. So does that extend his career? It's tough to say.
Can I ask you a question? What would you trade? Because obviously Darren Waller is probably the base asset on this team as far as right now. In a 0.5 or maybe even like a 0.75 PPR dynasty league, what would you trade Darren Waller for? Let's just say in a vacuum, not even this team, but what is Darren Waller worth? I was asked this at a draft the other day, and my answer, I want to hear what you had to say.
I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I'm just gonna pull up my trade chart so I can like look at it. So I do this every month, and I just pulled up the wrong one. I pulled up June, but it doesn't matter. Darren Waller, I have at 42. So if you're looking to trade for like a Deontay Johnson, I like Deontay Johnson as a future stud at wide receiver. He's someone that I would consider. You could probably get more. You could probably get Deontay Johnson in a pick or something like that if you wanted. But I like Deontay Johnson quite a bit. Someone like T. Higgins. Someone might be willing to give you T. Higgins for Darren Waller.
Now you're closer. Now you're closer than Deontay Johnson.
You don't like Deontay Johnson?
It's not that I don't like him. I don't understand he's a PPR machine. I like Deontay Johnson a lot. He'll be probably the number one receiver on his team as far as the Steelers are concerned. But I don't think that he's worth Darren Waller by any means, and especially in a tight end premium. Waller's probably going to catch what? How many? What do you think?
That's right. So I forgot this is a tight end premium. So obviously so Waller carries even more weight.
Yes.
I was speaking more on like a regular league. So yes, I guess he would bump him up. So I would say probably in the T. Higgins, DJ Moore range. That's what I'd be looking to get for someone like Waller. You might be able to get more. It just depends, because I've been in tight end premium leagues where people overvalue tight ends. I think John is one of those people, if I'm not mistaken. No, but seriously, I think sometimes people overthink that, where it's like, okay, it's 1.5, PPR for tight ends, and it's like there was so much more. They're really not. I mean, they have more value, sure, but outside of the top tier guys,
it's not so much that they're worth so much more. It's that there's only so many that you can have and rely on that get you, that are going to score you mega fantasy points every week. You're not going to have anybody outside. If some people say if you don't have the top 4, you're SOL. I'm going to go, if you don't have like the top 8, top 7, 8, 9 maybe at the most. But anybody after that, you're looking at, it's probably within a quarter or within a point of each other every week, unless somebody gets lucky or catches a touchdown that week. But the Wallers, the Kittle, the Kelseys, and we had discussion before about Kyle Pitts maybe walking into a role. We're not sure what that's going to be, but Darren Waller is one of the top 4, probably top 3 this year. Third.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But the thing is like, so you have to, like, if you're going to trade away someone like Darren Waller, again, this is tight end premium, so it does increase his value a little bit. If you're going to trade someone like him away, if you look at the rest of your roster, you don't have the other answer. So you have to start thinking about, okay, who am I going to get to replace him? And that's when you look at some of the buy low at tight end. And I think Jonnu Smith, for whatever reason, people have not adjusted to this, and to say that, this Patriots team is not going to have Cam Newton there for long. They're going to go back to this Tom Brady type offense with Mac Jones, because he's more of that pocket passer, and they're going to throw the ball 600 times per year. That's going to happen. And Jonnu Smith has always been like the apple of Bill Belichick's eye. Like honestly, his face lights up anytime he gets to talk about Jonnu Smith. Don't worry about Hunter Henry. He's not very good. He was just simply a volume tight end. So I would buy low on someone like Jonnu Smith, because you have to have obviously a solution beyond that. But yeah, this team, I feel like this is more of a rebuilding team than it is a competitor.
I would need to take Waller, and I would need to go after like a Sam Darnold or a Daniel Jones, add in with a good tight end to make up for him, or a couple good players.
Do not mention Daniel Jones ever again.
I don't like Daniel Jones. I'm just saying, like, you can't get out of this. He needs a third quarterback. If one of his quarterbacks goes down and he's getting a 0 on a bye week, or God forbid both these quarterbacks get hurt or something like that, then he's going to be paying absorbent amounts for anybody. But I'm saying right now, if somebody needs a tight end, you got to say, hey, you got 4. Find a team with 4 tight ends and good players. Or 4 quarterbacks and some good players. Try to get their best player and try to get them to throw in like a quarterback. So you actually have 3 quarterbacks in this team to actually get 10 in the super flex. You need to pull in a quarterback for your best players on top of another. I'm just, even if you can get. Let's say a quarterback, and let's just if you were to do your trade chart, like if you were to throw Sam Darnold, and who else would equal Darren Waller on your trade chart?
Sam Darnold in Superflex?
Yes. And Superflex tight end premium.
That would take someone like well, it's funny, I have like Myles Gaskin there.
I need more than that.
Juju Smith-Schuster, Deebo Samuel.
I guess I'm greedy. I overvalue some players, but I would need a little more than that still. I'd probably have to see, someone's going to want Waller, so they're going to pay a little more for him too. I'm not the only person who likes tight ends.
Oh, for
in a
sure.
tight
Yeah.
end premium.
Waller, a lot of people have him tight end 2 right now. Over Kelsey or over Kittle. I'm not one of them, but
Yeah. I saw him. I saw Pitts, as far as number 2, and then Waller after him, and I was like, what? That's crazy.
That's dumb.
But, all right. Well, we kind of see that this is a little bit of a rebuild team. When you have to question, like, hey, how close are you to winning? It's not. You're not looking at this team and being like, this is a glaring team. He's got it. And then on top of that, his 2022, he's only got a 4th and a 5th, and a 2023 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Wait, that's it? I thought it was like, oh, I thought those were additional picks he had. Oh wow.
No, those are the only picks he has. So he has no 2022 1st, 2nd, or 3rd.
Oh, this team's in trouble.
Yeah, so he's got I don't even know. I think maybe you just kind of. I hate ever saying throw in a towel or rebuild, whatever, and it is what it is. But especially there's 2 or 3 teams in this league who are it's one of our home leagues. Actually, this is the roster from the league that you were you put the stickers on the board for our first draft with James DeBrain and all them guys. It was so that it's this league we're talking about. We're in a couple years deep into it now, and this is where he's at as far as some trades. Everybody's made some bad trades in this league. I just made a terrible trade last week myself, but it is what it is. It's fun to play. I like making trades, and I like making chances, and thank God it's my cheapest league. But it's a fun league. It's great guys in this league, but there's a couple guys who are really P-Win Dynasty and Scott Sidlow's team are really ahead of everybody else here. So yeah. So, but okay, look, we kind of agree. I don't think this is. He may have a chance if he gets lucky, to win. Maybe win around in the playoffs or something like that. But I think he'll get buried as far as after that's concerned. And then he's got nothing for the future. So he's got to start looking towards getting some picks back, getting some a third quarterback. Trading Aaron Jones, I guess. If you're going to start getting rid of some of these guys, at that point in time, you're not going to win at all. So it's either try and win one more year and then hopefully get something from these guys if the year is panning out not your way. It's almost like a redraft team at this point in time. If you go the first handful of weeks, if you lose 3 or 4 of your first 7 or 8 games, you're SOL and you might not make the playoffs. At that point in time, you have a fire sale and just get whatever you can as far as trying to get the most. I'd send Aaron Jones to every team for what I dream I can get for him and see what people counter for as far as that goes, and just keep going. But all right, so I love doing this every week. I love evaluating teams and kind of going through people's stuff and see where they're at. And this is this is why I love doing these podcasts for it. I love doing what people like you who are, knowledgeable, know their stuff, can kind of rattle off the right answers and give people great, expectations of where they're at and what they should be doing. So I'm going to switch back to the main
Inception over there. I saw.
What happened?
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, all right. So that's This is my podcast. Thanks for jumping on it this week, man. It was awesome. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And I'll see you next week. I heard you like being the big spoon in the hotel next week at the expo.
Stop it. You're sleep. I'm gonna get you a rollout bed that I can put in the room for you. No, but it was fun, man. Like honestly, like it's been a while since I've had a podcast where someone like we literally just sat around and just talked like we were, like we do in person. Honestly, John and I, just that's just how it works in person. We do a lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and look forward to seeing you at the expo and hopefully other people too. I don't know if there's anybody in the listening that's going to be out there, but honestly, if you see me there, just come say hi. Because honestly, it's really cool to just meet everybody and talk to everybody. I remember the first FSTA I went to, just going around and introducing people. Like I went over and just walked up to Liz Loza and I was like, Liz, hey, I just want to say it's awesome what you're doing. Congrats on the Yahoo gig. And she was like, oh my God, she couldn't believe I knew who she was. And it was like, and then she invited me onto her podcast and, you start building relationships. So, just go and say hi to as many people as you can and start building those relationships.
Yeah, everybody is nervous. Everybody's a little bit like, oh my God, this is so and so. You get a little starstruck sometimes, but if you keep going to these events and you keep meeting these people and keep saying hi and know them year after year, and even after you met them once, it's easier to talk to them on Twitter, and that's exactly what it is. And I love these kind of things. I love crowds. I love people. I love kind of doing all this stuff. So this is I can't wait for the expo. There's 100 million people there that are going to be, they're super awesome. And on top of that, I get to spend a couple nights with you again, man. I miss you being a neighbor and being a friend, and I can't wait to see you again, man.
No, it'll be awesome. I look forward to it, man. A couple weeks.
So, all right, we are signing off. Hold on, you get to see my little thing again when I sign off here. So,
your little thing again. Oh, your graphics.
Don't be jealous. You get to watch it one more time, okay?